struggle keep you near the cross, and may your troubles show that you need God, and may your battles in the way they should.
Come on in, family. Come on in. We'll start at 8 o'clock.
That God is good, and may your whole life prove that God is good. See, may your struggles keep you near the cross, and may your troubles show that you need God, and may your battles in the way they should, and may your bad days prove that God is good.
Come on, family. We're gonna have our coffee chat this morning. Grab your beverage of choice. We'll start in a minute.
See, may your struggles keep you near the cross, and may your troubles,
My God, may your struggles keep you near the cross, and may your troubles show you that you need God. Anybody here know you need God?
in the way they should, and may your bad days prove that God
Is good.
see, let your whole life prove that God
Is good.
Thank y'all so much.
I love that song. We're gonna start, guys, in just a moment.
May your struggle keep you.
Come on in, share this with someone, whatever platform you're on.
May your troubles show that you need God, and may your battles in the way they should, and may your bad days prove
Good morning, good morning.
God is good.
See, some of you are on.
And may your whole
I'm cheating a little bit because I'm looking over at my Facebook. I'm gonna jump over to YouTube in a minute. We're gonna start in just a moment. Family, share this. Good morning. So good to see so many of you. Good morning.
near the cross, and may your troubles show that you need God, and may your battles in the way they should, and may your bad days prove that God is good. See, may your whole life prove that God is good. See, may your struggles keep you near the cross, and may your troubles
Come on and share this. We're about to start in just a moment. Good morning, family.
need God, and may your battles
Anybody here know you need God? Have your troubles and trials done that for you? They have for me.
may your bad days prove that God is.
If you know God is good, just type that in. God is good. My whole life proves it. Can you say that? My whole life proves that God is good. Well, good morning, family. Welcome to the coffee chat this morning. I decided to spend some time outside. I came to the church this morning, and as I got out of my truck going to the office, I was like, man, it's a beautiful morning. Maybe I need to get out here before it gets too hot, too oppressive. So I decided to hang out outside. I hope you can hear me okay and see me okay. So good morning and welcome to the coffee chat. A couple things I want to do today. I have a list of about 5 things to talk about today. And of course, I'm always here to take your questions. And so I just want to invite you to go ahead and do that. They're being sent to me by way of our group chat. And so if you have questions, type those in, and I'm going to do my best to address those questions. And so I want to begin where I generally begin, which is with thank you. It's been over a year. We're actually at 16 months or something like that. March of last year, so what, April, May, June, right? We're going into month 16 now of not being together in a full-time capacity in terms of our worship. Your engagement, your giving, your flexibility, your prayers, all of that has been so meaningful and so impactful. And so I want to begin with simply saying thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for how you are being patient and how you're letting God work in this season. And so I want to encourage you to encourage others to do the same. I want to encourage you to stay faithful. I want to encourage you to trust what God is doing in this season. You know, that's a hard word for us because sometimes we have a hard time, if we were to be honest, trusting what God is doing in a particular season of our lives. But just as Jonathan Reynolds was singing before we started, our whole life proves that God is good. Our whole life proves that God is on the throne. Our whole life proves that God is sovereignly orchestrating something magnificent. Sometimes he does it by allowing pestilence and disease in the land. Sometimes he does it by just opening up doors of opportunities. And sometimes he does it by slamming shut some doors. In all of it, God is good, and in all of it, God is orchestrating, God is moving. And so thank you so much for your thoughtfulness, for your faithfulness, for your consistency. That's the first thing I want to say. Second thing that I want to say today is I want to just give us a brief word of a brief Bible study. You know, I can't help myself. I stay in the Word, and I try to keep our church in the Word. I've been preaching, as you know, in a series of sermons out of the book of Nehemiah. I'm really excited about where God is taking us with this teaching. Really excited about the nuances, particularly tomorrow when I preach. There's a verse that I didn't really have opportunity to preach in chapter 4 because God, the Holy Spirit, had me focused somewhere else. I want to touch on it this morning because I think it'll be impactful and insightful for all of us. It's Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6. And in Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 6, Nehemiah begins with his so statement. I told you, if you want to have a fun study, just review the so statements of Nehemiah in the book of Nehemiah. And so, having my Java this morning, guys. So he says, so we built the wall. And the entire wall was joined together up to half its height, for the people had a mind to work. I don't know that we fully understand the ramifications of that text, and particularly of the statement, for the people had a mind to work. Well, what mind was that exactly? How do we then link and intersect mind and what I'm thinking and actual execution and working? What does he mean by that? Because so this literally, when you study this in the Hebrew, it means the people had a renewed mind. When it says people had a mind to work, remember, it had been 100 years of this desolation. And many of those people had lived there, had remained there. So they did not always have, here it is, a renewed mind. As you and I begin to do the work that God is calling us to do, whether it is in our careers, whether it's in church, whether it's with our families, we need to have a renewed mind. We need to take a step back and think different. Very important what I'm saying. We need to take a step back and process differently. We need to ask ourselves, is God perhaps calling me to do this in a different way, in a new way? And so it begins, first of all, with an understanding that they had a renewed mind. Can you feel that wind? My goodness, this is the Lord breathing, saying, son, tell it, son. So now it didn't just mean, when it says they have a mind to work, it didn't just mean they had a renewed mind. Very important what I'm about to say. It means they had an open mind. because not everyone that has a renewed mind has an open mind, right? So we say, okay, I'm gonna process this. God, move in another way. But then when God moves in another way, we're oftentimes not open to him moving in that way. So I need to open up my mind. Somebody type that in, open up your mind. So what church has historically looked like and what church will look like is going to be different. Now, the foundation of the church is not different, right? Upon the apostles and the doctrine and Jesus, the prophets and the apostles, upon the doctrine, upon the word, like that's not different. The community, the ecclesia of gathering, that's not different. The Trinity, that's not different. The exclusivity of Jesus, right? The total depravity of everybody. They're foundational things that are not different. But there are some things we have to open up our mind to, right? Opening up our mind that the building is going to look different and our programming is going to look different. And people, there are going to be people that you've never seen before that you're going to see. There are going to be people that are returning. And that's something that is in my heart to say, because it was shared with me this morning that we had a returning member, right? Someone who had been gone from the church for quite a while. They came back and literally they brought with them tithes and offerings. And they were like, hey, I'm fully back in. I'm back in. I want to say this to people that have been gone. I want to say to you, why don't you consider opening up your mind to returning? Because sometimes we have this mindset that's like, people are not going to welcome me back, or people aren't going to be friendly to me, or it's going to be different. It won't feel the same. And we literally talk ourselves out of something God is trying to talk us into. Have you ever done that? Have you ever started talking yourself out of what God was trying to talk you into because you didn't have an open mind? And so I want to encourage us, because I know God is saying in this season for all of our churches, not just Word Tabernacle, but God is saying, it's going to be a shift, right? There's going to be a shift in the ministry, in the atmosphere, amongst the people, amongst the staff, how you do things, what your programming looks like. But you need to be open to it all. God, I want to be open. Whatever you're doing, God, I want to be included. So this issue of having a mind to work means a renewed mind. It means having an open mind. It means people that you were out with, you don't have to stay out with. People that you had disagreements with, you don't have to stay in disagreement. Moments where there was bitterness and strife and division does not have to remain. Would you even be open to restoration? Would you be open to return? Would you be open to reconciliation? Would you be open to revival? Would you be open to renewal? So when it says they had a mind to work, it's literally they had an open mind. They had a renewed mind. They had a God-controlled mind. It was, God, I'm neutral and I'm going to do whatever you say do because you're controlling the situation. They had an attitude that matched this renewed mind. So they weren't just on the wall angry and frustrated. If you have to do what you do in the kingdom with an attitude, if you have to do what you do, in your home, on your job, if you're kicking and screaming the whole time, if everything is a heavy lift, if everything is a big darn deal, if every time you're asked to do just a little bit more, it sends you out on the edge, I would say then you're probably not doing what God has called you to do. Because if God is calling you to do it, man, you're like, okay, God, it's going to take a little bit more of me, but I'm good. It's gonna require a little bit of a sacrifice, but I'm good. And so I want to encourage you to have an open and a renewed mind, a God-controlled mind that implements itself with the right attitude as we do His work. I hope this is helping, making sense. So what then are the components of this mind to work? As I was thinking through this, praying through this, 4 things jumped up for me that I want to share with you. I think having an open mind or renewed mind is, first of all, it involves my praying. Type in pray. Everybody say pray. Whatever we're going to do, we need to pray about it. First, pray about, it's funny, many of the things that we say we're just not going to do, we haven't even prayed about it. Many of the places we just claim we won't go, we haven't even prayed about. So step one is just spend some time in prayer. If you remember, as we were studying Nehemiah, and we're still studying Nehemiah, he spent some specific, significant time in prayer. So number one, I think having a renewed mind is spending time, having time to pray. I think oftentimes we don't have margin, right? Think about a piece of paper, right? And when you're typing in something, you have margins you have to set. And if you try to print, oftentimes it'll say, well, you have some words outside the margin. So if you want this to show up, you need to get it inside the margins. I think that's how we have to live our lives. We have to get inside the margins, right? We have to recognize, man, I need to leave myself some room. Somebody type that in, leave yourself some room. Leave yourself some room for God to do something new. Leave yourself some room for God to do something different in your life. And so this issue is having enough margin to pray. Saying, God, I'm including in prayer into what we do. And so we're going to spend time in prayer as we lead meetings. We're going to spend time in prayer as we are making decisions about the finances of the church. We are going to spend time in prayer as we're building out the building, as we're rehearsing, as we're working with youth, while we're spending time with young people, while we're engaging with our senior citizen and our wise warriors. We're going as we open up new campuses. And so the first part of this issue of mind is spend some time in prayer, okay? The second thing I wrote down pray. Here's the second thing I want you to write down: plan. Because I think oftentimes we create this unbiblical competition between planning and praying. Like, we act as if oftentimes those realities can't coexist. And so they can coexist. I would argue that they do coexist. And so I want to spend time praying, but I want to spend time planning. So what you're going to see over the next 2 months is a massive restructure, a new plan. No, it's not a new vision. It's not a new mission. We're stating it differently, right? The vision is simple for us: everyone thriving. That's it. That's the vision. We want to get to a place as a ministry where every human being that crosses the threshold of the Impact Center is thriving in every area of their life, where they're healthy. So in their fitness, their families are good, where we create a 0% divorce rate as we move forward, and singles are fulfilled and thriving, and widows are good, and married people are good, and every element of our congregation is great in their family life. There's no strife. There's no division, where everyone is thriving with their finances. People aren't walking around saddled with a bunch of debt. I'm going to talk a little bit about this tomorrow, but man, so often our debt prohibits our ability to respond to God's will for us. God is saying, I want you to do something, but we're so deep in debt, we can't go do that thing God is calling us to do. I want to come against that demon as your pastor, and I want every member of our congregation to be thriving in their finances and then in their faith, of course, right? So the vision has not changed. Everyone thriving. The mission hasn't changed. We're restating it. People empowering people and communities in every area of life to the glory of God. That's what we're going to do. That's what we are doing. So, if you have questions, type them in. And so I think the second part of this is planning. And so you're going to see a shift with some of our staff people. I'm going to be announcing this week some promotions. I'm going to be announcing this week some shifts in the ministry. You're going to see people that were formerly on staff and who have left, who are returning. You're going to see people being placed in different positions. You're going to see new job creations and new opportunities for full-time employment. You're going to see families being elevated and individuals being elevated. You're going to see ideas that are being presented, being realized. You're going to see a spirit of spiritual entrepreneurship being released. Like, I see that. It's not only going to happen here at the Impact Center, but in the lives of our individual members. And so the second word I want you to jot down today is plan. And I want to ask you, What are you really doing to plan for your future? What are you doing to plan for retirement? What do you do? What are you doing to plan for your children going off to college, to plan for you to shift from one employment to another? What is the plan? Somebody type that in. What is the plan? Come on, talk to me for a moment. What is the plan? You've been praying about it, but what's the plan for the ministry to grow? What is the plan for you to have a deeper walk with God? What is the plan for you to be able to be used more fully by God? What is the plan for there to be peace in your home? What is the plan for you to get to a healthier place? What is the plan? What is the plan for you to have more margin? And so this issue of a renewed mind is the issue that I've got to pray. It's the issue I have to plan. Now here's the third thing. The third thing I want you to jot down is I have to pay. I have to pray. I have to plan. I have to pay. That means there's a sacrifice attached to it. I think too often times, we indict unnecessarily the church. As a matter of fact, it's not even justifiable, because we lift an offering, because we say to people, we need you to give, we expect you to give. There's not an element, a place in our lives where you can honestly expect there to be growth and advancement and development without investment. You may need to invest in a counselor, invest in therapy. You may need to make an investment and take a class to develop a skill set. Not just an investment paying in terms of dollars and cents. And I want to encourage you. So a letter's going out. We are required to do this. It's, first of all, we put it in our bylaws because we just know it's the biblical thing to do. I don't believe in inactive members. I don't think you have a good biblical model of inactive members. I think if you are a member of something, you're active in it. We have lots of members that are in fraternities and sororities, and if they want to be active, they need to be current in their dues, right? They need to be active in some kind of program. We have people that are in the Masons or the Eastern Stars or whatever social club. If you have a homeowners association where you live, right, there's a financial requirement for you to remain active in that. So I really don't believe in this issue of inactive membership as it relates to anything. So the church should be no different. And so in the next week or two, we'll send out letters to a couple hundred former Word members who are right now inactive. There's no indication that they have given financially, and there's no indication that they're serving anywhere in ministry. We just don't know where they are. And so, there will be letters going out. And as you may know, what I do when those letters go out is I say, hey, we love to make sure you're active in the church. Like, that's the single most important thing. Get connected in a local church. That's so important. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. And so purging membership letters will go out to a couple hundred people. I forget what the number is. I'm hoping many of them will circle back and say, hold up, no, don't take me off the membership rolls. I want to be a member of Word Tabernacle. I hope people that are former members, as I've already said, will come back. We're seeing evidence of that already. I feel like God is saying to me to say to you, make the appeal. So I'm making the appeal. If you're watching right now, you left membership for whatever reason, maybe it was early on and you were like, man, this vision, they're arguing, I don't see it happening. Now you're looking, it's being released right in front of you, and you're like, hey, I want to be a part of something larger than who I am. I want to be a part of something bigger than who I am. I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of seeing people's lives transform. I want to be a part of students getting great development and great mentoring and great support. I want to be a part of a preschool that's going to make sure the childhood literacy rate is off the charts. I want to be a part of an organization, a church that is involved with political engagement and social action. I want to be a part of missions. I want to be a part of seeing hungry people fed and people in prison being visited. I want to be a part of what it really looks like to care for the widow and the orphan. And I think Word Tabernacle is doing that. So I want to encourage you, you've been gone, come on home. Come on home. We're all starting from scratch with this building. We walk in here, and we're here every day as staff, and every day it looks different. And every day I feel like I'm in a new building, and I'm here for the first time. So when you come back, you're going to feel like, well, I'm not going to really feel like I'm home. You know what? A whole bunch of us are going to have to learn what home looks like again. So why not do it together? And so there has to be a plan. So pray, plan, pay, and then push. And so you're going to see where Nehemiah chapter 5, I'm going to preach this tomorrow, where they're like, some stuff hits, man, and they have to push their way through. And I feel like God is saying to someone, you're real close, but you need to push on in. You need to get, sometimes we need to get behind somebody and just help them get across the finish line. You ever seen a football game where, they're right 2 yards out, 1 yard out, the 1 foot line, and, the running back, fullback gets the ball, and man, he hits like a wall of other players, and literally there are guys behind him they just pushing him on in, man. We need some folk to help push in. As your pastor, I want to be real with you. I need some help pushing us in. And so that's why I'm asking you to give. That's why I'm asking you to serve. We're trying to get across the finish line with this. I'm absolutely convinced we can do it, but it's going to take every member of Word Tabernacle Church growing, every member serving, every member giving, every member thriving. Would you be very prayerful around a monthly Thrive offering over and above your normal tithe and offering? Would you pray about adding 10% to what you currently give? Would you pray about that? So if you're giving the church $50, would you pray about giving 55? Just 10 more percent. Would you pray about doing that? Would you pray about, I don't know who this is for, but would you pray about adding a 0 to what you're giving? If you're giving $10, would you pray about letting it be $100? If you're giving $100, would you pray about letting it be $1,000? So the issue of this renewed mind is praying, planning, paying, and pushing. We can do this, family. We can do this, family. If you believe it, type it in. We can do this. Now, that was the third thing I wanted to say. Fourth thing, I'm checking for questions. I don't have any yet. So the fourth question, the fourth statement I want to make today on this coffee chat, type in what you've been drinking. What's your preferred beverage this morning? This is my normal Dunkin' Donuts morning coffee with French vanilla. The fourth thing I want to talk about just for a moment is COVID. And I know we are acting like it's over, but it's not. There's this Delta variant. I was looking at North Carolina numbers creeping up. You got to watch anything that creeps, okay? That's a whole nother message for another time. It's sneaky. Understand, the whole point of a virus is survival, okay? It's here to survive. It's trying to figure out, so it keeps mutating itself, right? So that it can survive. But this is what's concerning to me. Today is what, the 17th? Since July 13th, from July 13th to July 16th, we obviously don't have numbers for today yet. From July 13th to July 16th, the COVID rate has doubled in North Carolina. So on July 13th, we had 540 new cases. It has consistently gone up. July 14th, it went to 995. It went from 540 to 995. July 15th, it went to 1,020. July 16th, 1,023. So literally, from July 13th to July 16th, the last 4 days, the COVID positivity rate has increased from 540 to 1,023. That's concerning to me. So I want to be very clear with you. We have always followed the science on this, and we don't believe that there is this gap, this tension between science and faith. We want our members to be healthy. I want you to be around for me to hold you and hug you and love on you and just appreciate you. And so as much as we have planned a return schedule, if the science doesn't let us, we're going to back off of it. It's going to look a little different. So I need you to here it is. I need you to have an open mind. And I need you to have a renewed mind. And so if you've not been vaccinated, what you waiting on? I'm not talking about your doctor. Let your doctor be the one help you make the decision. Talk to your doctor. Ask your doctor, is it okay for me to be vaccinated? If the doctor says no, then okay. But if the doctor says yes, then come on. We have a standing Tuesday clinic here at the church. If you're not vaccinated and you've been around a bunch of folk, can you at least get tested? So if you do have something, you won't be around me. Would you wear your mask in public, whether you are vaccinated or not? So when you go to the grocery store, when you're out at Walmart or Target or Food Lion, would you please wear a mask when you're out in public? When you're here at the church, as you walk around the church, please be masked, whether you're vaccinated or not. When you're in the sanctuary worshiping with your individual families, if you're vaccinated, you can unmask during worship. But we ask if you are not vaccinated to please remain masked during the entire service. I'm almost out of time. I'm not seeing any questions today. Okay. And then, so let's just be mindful of that. There's a lot of stuff on the schedule, a lot of things that we're going to be doing, but we want to make sure we're keeping people safe and we're keeping people healthy. We're going to be announcing a couple of blocks of weeks, 2-week blocks where the building will be closed. You'll be able to get in on Sunday morning, but during the week, we're shutting down the lobby really soon. We're going to begin painting very soon. We have to lay new flooring in our lobby very soon. That's going to happen in August, 2 weeks in August. I think it's like the 9th to the 20th or something like that. So you're going to be hearing those dates, which means you have to stay connected with us. Subscribe everywhere or wherever your favorite platform is. Check the website. Check my Facebook. Check the church Facebook. Check YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you are connected in to some way to get information. Make sure we have your phone number. So when we send out text message updates, you get them. I know Pastor Stephanie is teaching this summer, but I'm still recording Critical Conversations. I'm still recording my podcast. I just released one last week on the Black church and how God and why God is going to use the Black church as an agent of healing in the land. And I want you to listen to that podcast. So go to Orthos on any podcast distribution model. I'm on iTunes. I'm on all of them. And so make sure you are subscribing and listening. It's going to give you great information, great education, great insight on things. And so I'm seeing no questions. And so those were the things that I wanted to cover. I'm looking forward to our worshiping together as a family. It's time, y'all, to really create community at Word Tabernacle Church. So that means if you're not in the building worshiping live, would you consider connecting with another family or two, or connecting with 2 or 3 more people, and maybe you rotate homes and you watch together and talk about the service. Want to start seeing us connect. We're going to see if there's a way for us to run the distribution of the Sunday service in our Tarboro location. So if people wanted to just go into the room and be able to watch while service is going on, they could develop that community together. Tarboro folk, we have an upcoming date where we're going to developing our core team so we can begin launching that Tarboro campus. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait to do that with you. And so there are probably other things that I need to cover. I don't see questions. I love you all so much. And I am grateful to God for what he is doing in you and through you. And I'm looking forward to some amazing, amazing times in our future. Eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, and it has not entered into the hearts of man the things that God has prepared for us. Here's a question. Are there any ministries that specifically address mental health and addiction? That's a great, great question. And the answer is yes. We are actually part of our restructure. Our counseling division is coming under health and wellness, moving it out of faith and family so that the work we're already doing around intervention, we can begin doing more of. We welcome the support of members who are trained in that area that can help us build out a more robust program in that area. But to answer your question, we not so much on the addiction front, and that's something we can put on the radar. I think we need a ministry member who's interested in helping us promote that. We do have space on the organizational chart for it. We have a holder, but we need the right people to be, because if you don't have the right leader on something, you can't make anything happen. So the mental health side, yes, we're doing that work both through our Reach Center and through our counseling division. The addictions, not so much, but we are very, very open to hearing your ideas. Would you reach out to Trishonda Roberson or Stanley Purvis? Trishonda is Executive Director of our Reach Center, and Stanley and his wife Tinger head our counseling division. Would you reach out to them with your ideas and see how you can support that initiative around a more robust mental health network and around addiction support? So that's a great question, and we want to know it's important and something we want to embrace. I think that's it, guys. It's 8:31, so I'm over time. Love you, and I'll see you at church tomorrow.